Let me tell you about the day a piece of plastic changed the whole damn course of a military operation, and maybe a few lives too. You ever see a place run on hierarchy so strict that a badge or the tilt of a chin decides whether you get coffee or a second glance? Well, picture Fort Crestwood, Virginia, cold enough that morning to make you wish you'd worn gloves. And there I was, Sarah Mitchell, standing at a gate with nothing but a cheap canvas bag, sneakers dusted from the walk, and an old black card I barely looked at anymore because it scared me every time I did. The guards at the gate didn't see anything but a woman in faded jeans, tired eyes, hair in a ponytail, out of place, out of uniform, and out of luck, as far as they cared. You know how young guys get when they're bored and in packs, everything's a joke, and anyone outside their world is an easy target. "Hey, did you print this at Kinko's?" one sneered, waving my card like he'd found a golden ticket in his Halloween candy. His buddy, built like a linebacker, laughed, grabbed my bag, and dumped it out. Notebook pen, no weapon, not even a snack unless a half-melted granola bar counts. And you know what? I just stood there watching my stuff scatter because you get used to it. You learn not to blink, not to show the sting. A female sergeant, started in about how this ain't a tourist stop, and when I said I'm here on orders, I might as well have told them I was waiting for a bus to Mars. My card slid down the counter to Specialist Torres. He had the sort of smirk that made you want to wipe it off with a dish rag. He told me to go home and play with my glow-in-the-dark toys while the others acted out a Star Wars scene behind him. Real original, right? But then Private Larson scanned my card again, just to shut me up, really. The scanner flashed purple and every single joke died in their throats. It was like someone hit the mute button on a room full of dogs. Override level. Zeta. "Welcome, Commander Mitchell." The system blared, and suddenly the bravest of them was just a kid holding a live grenade with the pin halfway out. Still, Captain Peterson, old school, angry and sharp as a bayonet, came stomping out, shouting about hackers and toys, ordering his people to restrain me. They snapped the cuffs on so tight my hands went numb. I tried to say, "I have special level clearance," but he just snapped, "No one speaks unless I say so." Let me tell you, humiliation sits heavy even when you know you're in the right. Especially then. Especially marching through base with cuffs on, I heard every name in the book. One private grabbed my bag and threw it in a puddle. "Go back to your day job," he yelled, grinning like he'd won something. I met his eyes and said, "That bag's worth more than your mouth," and I meant it. That notebook had saved lives, none of them his. Locked up in a holding room, bare walls, one flickering bulb. Peterson and his crew were all set to grill me when the red phone rang. Only the base commander ever touches that line. Peterson went sheet white, listening to the voice on the other end. "Did you just put handcuffs on Sarah Mitchell?" General Crowley thundered loud enough for me to hear, "Release her, now!" Suddenly my cuffs were gone, everyone stumbling over themselves to hand me my card and apologize, but I was already halfway out the door. Their eyes followed me like I'd grown horns. Someone muttered, "That's above the president." Yeah, now they noticed. Just as I thought I was in the clear, Lieutenant Gorman blocked my path full of swagger. He snatched my card and tossed it in the trash, daring me to protest. I looked at the trash can, then at him and said, "Pick it up." He didn't need to. The moment was enough. Sometimes you win by standing still. Inside ops, it was chaos screens, shouts, men and women hunched over keyboards and radios. Lieutenant Colonel Doyle spotted me. He was missing a piece of himself from the last war and missing any sense of courtesy, too. "You're the reason my team died," he growled, slamming down a report. His anger was ice cold, but his hands shook. A younger officer, Harris, laughed, suggesting I probably hid behind the front lines. Doyle dumped water on my papers. "Oops," but I just asked. "You finished," and waited out the silence. That card, the one they mocked, lit up the biometric scanner showing a map. "This was sabotaged," I said, pointing to the line of transactions leading off the books. I wasn't the only survivor. I was the only one who didn't betray us. The room froze truth, hitting harder than any insult. A few people swallowed hard. The next day, I presented my findings. Major Kendall heckled me, tossed my pointer aside. "You need this more than I do," I said, handing it back. Later, Harris came to apologize, but I told him starting over doesn't mean wiping things clean. Let me back up a sec, because the side characters in this place, they matter. Sergeant Waller and her clerks tried to bully me at lunch, smearing ketchup on my notebook, laughing about my magic card. "You talk a lot for someone with no clearance," I told her, and her face tightened. Gorman, who'd trashed my card, wouldn't meet my eyes for a week. Baxter, a lieutenant with a loud mouth, tossed napkins at me by the coffee machine. But all I said was, "You're loud for someone with no clearance." After that, the room went quieter whenever I walked in. Then the Secretary of Defense arrived bringing a dossier. Doyle got marched out by MPs, head down. The screen in ops flashed, "Mission reinstated. Commander Sarah Mitchell." There was a ripple in the air, like everyone had finally realized the storm was in the building, wearing a jean jacket and holding a pen. I took the briefing seat, spread the dossier out, and talked them through the fix, my voice even. Colonel Vance leaned to his colleague and whispered, "We just threw water in the face of a lion." I pretended not to hear, but it felt good. Of course, some folks never learn. Captain Lyle tried to tear up my notes during a training. "Stick to waving your card," he said. A day later, his team lost secure channel access. My protocol could have saved them, but he'd ignored it. Vance handed me new notes, and Lyle lost his command. Justice is slow, but it has a way of showing up. My husband arrived one evening, a quiet presence with scars of his own recognized by everyone who mattered. He nodded, and I felt anchored again. The consequences trickled down Jenkins, the guard who first laughed at me, discharged. Ruiz demoted. Malone lost his job after I'd saved his squad with a single call. Reynolds's gossip cost her security clearance. Doyle's court-martial was swift. Those offshore bank accounts didn't lie. You might think I cared about their downfall, but I didn't watch. I just kept walking. My card now meant something different. A warning, a promise, a reminder. I was the woman they underestimated, and I walked through the base with soldiers stepping aside, their salutes sharper, their whispers lower. Nobody looked for my approval, and I didn't need their apologies. My truth was in my actions, my scars, and the weight I carried. Sometimes justice looks like a room full of people finally shutting up and listening. Sometimes it's a line on a screen or a kid picking up trash. The world judges fast, but the truth moves at its own pace. If you're still with me, maybe you know what it's like to be dismissed, to be doubted, to carry your own scars and keep going anyway. So here's my question. Where are you listening from? Did you ever get written off before you could show them what you're really made of? Drop a comment below, let me know, because this story isn't just mine. It's anyone's who ever walked into a room and refused to back down.